Hello, my amazing kings and queens. King Moreland here. As you know, I'm on a mission to help you reach your full potential and become the absolute best versions of yourself. So, whether you're facing challenges, chasing dreams, or just looking to level up in life, you've come to the right place. Every week, we dive deep into strategies, mindset shifts, and practical tools that will help you transform your life from the inside out. This is your channel, your personal development channel, so that you can become the powerhouses that you are meant to be in the world. A channel where mediocrity is not an option and excellence is our standard. So, if you're ready to join a community of passionate individuals like yourself committed to growth, please hit that like button, please hit that subscribe button, and definitely hit that bell so you get notified whenever I drop new content. And let's continue this journey together. All right. So, you are now watching the final installment of Break the Matrix Part 2. This is episode 3. And let me tell you something that might completely rewire your brain. And if it's my hope, that it completely rewires your mindset. You know, that slogan or that statement that says that's you sleep when you're dead, that mentality. Yeah, I want to tell you that is a lie, right? That grind 24/7 culture is also a lie. And here's the scariest part about the lie. It sounds very motivational, but in truth, it's actually hurting you. It's draining you, it's draining your body, it's limiting your creativity, and overall, it's crushing your future. And today, I want to talk to you about just that. I want to talk to you about burnout culture. So, without further ado, I would like to welcome you to Break the Matrix Part 2, Episode 3. Burnout culture is a scam. And why it's a scam is because the system has benefited from you and so many people like you because you're exhausted. The real winners and the people who are actually able to break the matrix are the people who plan rest within their schedules. But more on that later. So, I want to break down to you how you've been lied to. If you've been on social media at all, right, and you haven't been living under a rock, you know that you've heard things like, you can sleep when you're dead, or grind now, rest later. Or if you're tired, that just means you're not working hard enough. Or sleep is for the weak. Or this is a golden one. I've heard this one several times. The saying that sleep is for the rich. No, sleep is for everybody. And you need to take breaks. You need to take breaks. It's very important. So, be honest. At first, all those statements, they sound powerful. I remember when I first heard them, I felt empowered. I felt a little more focused. I felt hungry, right? But here's the thing. Nobody tells you the full truth. Your body is not a machine. And if you're looking at that thumbnail that I placed on the cover of this video, I put a robot there. And the reason I put a robot there is because robots can keep going nonstop. But you can't. You're a human and you're not meant to be going nonstop. You're supposed to take breaks. It's very important. Your brain's not infinite. In fact, your brain works a lot better when you do actually sleep. And I hate to break it to you, but exhaustion is not a badge of honor. In fact, it's crushing your future. And overall, I'm going to show you guys in this video that burnout culture does not build up kings and queens. It tears them down and turns them into broken workers. But we're going to make sure that's not going to be you. Give me one moment to explain. So, I want to help you understand what life is like when you're an exhausted person. Because I've been one of those people that have worked and worked and worked and juggled so many different responsibilities to where I've fainted before. I've passed out. I've took unplanned breaks, so to speak, because your body will literally shut down on you. But let me show you some telltale signs to let you know that you're exhausted. When you're sleep deprived, you're not able to think clearly. You're not able to put together long-term plans and your emotions are all off. You react suddenly off of small things. You're not able to control your emotions properly. And overall, you become a person that makes bad decisions. And guess what? Here's the thing. People who make bad decisions are typically easy to control. And that's why being burnt out because you're working so hard, it keeps you in the rat race. It keeps you stuck in survival mode. It keeps you dependent on caffeine and it keeps you dependent on fleeting motivation. You might watch a motivation video like one of my videos and get really inspired to do something in your life. But because you are constantly on the go and not ever taking times to take breaks, you end up running into a wall. So I need you to change your mindset and rewire your mindset from grinding today to building for tomorrow. Because when you start thinking long term like that, you know and understand that you working really hard today is good, but you not taking breaks and constantly working is bad. And ultimately, I want you to understand this. This is the reason I put this in the Break the Matrix series. The system wants you to be exhausted because here's the thing. When you don't rest enough, you're in a position where you're up and you're able to work, just hard enough to be productive, but you're not alert and rested enough to actually think about what's going on. You'll be too tired to actually question the system. So when it comes down to it, you put yourself in a hole where you're constantly working, but you're not actually making progress, right? And I want you to realize that working hard but not resting is a problem. That's not discipline. That is you putting yourself in a position where you're not ever going to really be able to move ahead. And your job doesn't mind you living like that because when you do that, they're able to exploit you. The more hours you give to them without actually moving forward in life, the longer you're going to be stuck in that position, not able to actually climb up the ladder. And for your boss, that's a good thing because essentially you've limited your own ability to break the matrix. But that ends today. After watching this video, you'll be able to break out. So let's keep going. I want to give you some facts. What sleep actually does for you that they don't really tell you. They tell you things like just keep hustling, keep grinding, keep working. But here's what sleep actually does for you. First, let's change your mindset about sleep. Sleep is not for the weak. Sleep is not for the lazy. Sleep is maintenance and is absolutely necessary. When you sleep, here's a few things that actually take place. And like always, don't take my word for it. Go Google it. Go do your research. It's all there, right? But when you get an adequate amount of sleep, which for most of us is 7 to 8 hours, your brain gets an opportunity to consolidate memories, which means that you're able to retain more information. Your brain also gets an opportunity to clean itself, which means that you don't have a lot of clutter up here. You're able to think more clearer. Your nervous system gets an opportunity to reset and your hormones rebalance. And here's the really good thing. Your immune system actually gets an opportunity to repair itself, which means that you'll get sick less often just off getting the adequate amount of sleep, right? So that's how important it is. It's extremely important for those of us who are athletes, right? If you are in any kind of sports, this is how your muscles recover. You know, if you're someone who is in a leadership position, if you're a leader, you're able to think more clearly. And when you're placed under stressful situations, because let's be honest, all leaders are placed under stressful situations at some point in their career, you need to be able to think clearly so you can make decisions that best help your organization and those around you, right? And if you're somebody like me, you're a creator, whether it be for content, art, or anything of that nature, it allows you to be more creative and use your imagination better. So if you've ever run into mental blocks, right, try sleeping. If you get an adequate amount of sleep, you'll come up with different ideas just off that. It helps in so many different ways. So I need you to understand that by removing sleep from the equation so you get more done, you're actually being less productive because it curtails your potential. The different things that you'll be able to do, you're not able to do because you didn't get enough sleep. You're sleep deprived. Overall, when you are sleep deprived, you get slower. You're in a position where you're not able to respond to things emotionally in an emotional behaved way. Like your emotions are more erratic because you did not get enough sleep. And here's the thing. Eventually, if you go long enough without getting enough sleep, you get burned out because at the end of the day, you can't not out hustle biology. You're human. You need a break. All right. If no one's told you that lately, I'm telling you, you need a break. Because at the end of the day, if you don't take a break and your body has been giving you signals that you're tired, then be honest. If the deprivation goes unchecked long enough, you can literally pass out. It happens. Honestly, it happened to me before. This is why I'm giving you guys the wisdom so you don't have to experience what I experienced, right? Because that was a very dangerous situation. And I'm thankful that I'm okay and that I got past that. But I learned that I needed to start taking breaks and planned breaks so that my body doesn't have to take the break for me. All right. So let's talk about something even deeper, right? Long before there was a hustle culture, long before there was this big thing on grinding and forget about sleep, forget about breaks, capitalism, make money, grind as hard as you can. Long before there was any of that, right? There was God telling us to rest. If you guys have read your Bible, there is a part in the Bible that literally commands you to rest on the Sabbath day, right? It doesn't suggest rest, it literally commands it. Why? Because rest is necessary for us. And when you rest, you are able to change your life in so many different ways. So you have to start viewing rest as obedience to God because God wanted us to take breaks. He literally designed it for us in our life. And if you go back to the Genesis story, what did God do on that seventh day? God rested. So why do we feel like we're above getting rest and taking breaks when our creator took a break? That should set the precedent for all of us so we understand that breaks are important. At the end of the day, burnout culture doesn't align with divine wisdom. It aligns with pride and arrogance. The thought that we can just keep going on and on and on and not take breaks and that we're going to be okay that way, it's not rooted in reality. So I want to tell you guys what happens when you don't take breaks. So here's what burnout looks like, right? You'll start very motivated and then you'll overwork yourself and then you'll skip rest. And then your body will send you signs and signals, aka your eyes getting heavy. Maybe your eyes are getting red. Maybe you're getting frustrated. Maybe you get that drowsy feeling, right? But you ignore those because you want to keep working, you want to keep grinding. And then you crash out. That's the cycle. That's the burnout cycle right there. That's literally what happens. At some point, you're going to crash. And it might look like you actually crashing out doing something that's going to change your life forever, or you might pass out, or worse. Some people don't make it. So I need you to know that if none of that happens to you, here are some other outcomes. Some people even get sick. Some people have an inability to focus. Some people lose their passions. Some people quit their jobs. Like sleep can impact every aspect of your life. And if you go establish a habit of not sleeping, you can get what is known as insomnia, which that's something that makes sleep even harder. And to fix that, a lot of times you actually need medical intervention. You might need to take some medicine. So overall, not getting sleep doesn't actually lead to you being more productive. It actually leads to your productivity going down over time. So it's very important that you, at some point, get the adequate amount of rest that you need so that you can be successful. So here's why you're here, right? I highlighted the problem. Now I'm going to tell you how to fix it. So here's the first thing, right? If you are a planner like how I am, you plan out days to take rest. All you have to do is plan it out because when you plan it out and you actually establish a schedule, then when you take rest, it won't feel like you're being lazy or you're doing something you're not supposed to do. It will feel natural because you plan to rest that day, right? And here's the thing, like we just learned, if you don't plan it out, at some point your body will do it for you and you'll just shut down. And when that happens, it might have been something very important you had needed to do. And now you won't be able to do it because you passed out, you know? So that's why you want to plan the times to take rest, right? And here's the thing, understand this truth: rest is not the opposite of hard work. It really isn't. It's a part of it, you know? Burnout is the thing that you should be avoiding, not rest, because rest allows you to actually be consistent. It allows you to have longevity and it allows you to think clearer. And when you're able to think clearly, good things happen. So here's what I need you to do. I need you to start planning out the rest and I need you start working in seasons. Have seasons where you work really hard. For me, that's the winter. For you, it might be something different. But have seasons where you're grinding and then have seasons where you're recovering, where you take your foot off the gas a bit. For me, that's the summer. But again, you have to know yourself and know when you're at your best because kings and queens know when to push and then we know when to pull back and recharge, right? And then I also want you to make sure you're measuring your progress, not just your effort, right? Because you don't win by being tired. You win by making sure everything you're doing is getting you closer to your goals. And rest is a part of that. So when you are fully rested, you're able to build systems. You're able to work out so you can be more healthy. You're able to actually think long term. You actually have the energy to take care of the people around you, all your different responsibilities. When you get an adequate amount of rest, you're able to do so much more with your life. And that's why you have to break the matrix and do that. So if you're watching this right now, and you feel guilty for resting, please don't. The only reason you feel guilty at all is because you were fed the message over and over that grinding and taking times to take breaks and rest made you weak. And it's just such a lie. Because at the end of the day, rest keeps you sharp, rest keeps you disciplined, and rest keeps you dangerous. And burnout doesn't make you strong. At the end of the day, burnout makes anything you are doing temporary. It's not a long term fix. It really isn't. Because kings and queens don't build empires on working nonstop, because that's temporary. We have to build impact that lasts long after we're gone. That's legacy. And that only happens when you take planned breaks. So, in conclusion, kings and queens, please, for me and for yourself and for everybody around you, stop glorifying exhaustion. Stop being okay with burnout and stop confusing disciplined, nonstop work with what it truly is, which is destruction. You're destroying your future by doing that. Please understand that rest is not quitting. Rest is refreshing so you can go on a longer run, so you can go on a longer hunt, so you can build longer, so your success is longer. You have to take rest. And by breaking the matrix, you will be honoring your body by resting and you'll be respecting breaks because the goal isn't to grind yourself into the ground. The goal is to build something that lasts long enough for you to enjoy the future of your labor and for your children and whoever comes after you to be able to benefit from it. So, the way you break the matrix and beat the system is by taking breaks, playing breaks, and ensuring that you don't burn yourself out. All right. This has been Break the Matrix Part 3 or Part 2, Episode 3. The cheat code is rest. Make sure you get an adequate amount of sleep. Overall, if you've enjoyed this content and this helped you rewire your way of thinking about rest, please like this video. Please share this video with someone you know can help. And please hit that subscribe button and hit that bell so you don't miss any content that I drop. As always, I love you all, and I'll see you in the next one. Amen.